Welcome back to Golf WRX's Winning What's in the Bag, where this week it's the Masters What's in the Bag, and we have a big congratulations for Rory McIlroy on his first green jacket, winning the Masters and completing that career Grand Slam. Don't need to talk about that much. I know we all probably watched a ton of coverage during, after, whatever this weekend. So congratulations to him. Very cool to see. And I have to say, probably one of the most fun Masters to watch Thursday through Sunday. Just super entertaining. So much great golf, so much excitement. I had a blast. It was probably one of my favorites to watch. I can't remember one that was really more exciting. So we're going to jump into Rory's bag. He is, of course, a TaylorMade staff member, so everything in his bag is TaylorMade. And we're going to start at the top, as we always do. Of course, driver is going to be the TaylorMade Qi10. This is, yes, the previous version from 2024. I know he's been testing the Qi35, had it in for a short time, took it back out. A lot of people look into that and say, oh, it's, Qi35 isn't very good or whatever. No, it's just that these guys are so dialed in and things are so precise that he just hasn't had time to work that Qi35 in. So still playing the Qi10, and it is a dot head. So the dot head was a tour issue only head. They only give it to tour members, and it basically sat in between the Qi10 LS and the standard Qi10. So it spun a little less than the Qi10, had a little bit more forgiveness than the Qi10 LS, and it had a really neutral face angle when you looked at it. When you looked down, it sat very square at address from all the photos I've seen of it. So this is a 9-degree head, and it's playing at 8.25 degrees. So the hosel is set to 1 click lower on this one. Should reduce the loft by about 0.75 degrees and make it about 0.5 degrees more upright. Now the shaft on this one here is a Fujikura Ventus Black 6X. This is the 2018 model that came out, 2018-19. They kind of released blue and then red, black later, but 2018-19 model. In there, it is tipped 1 inch, and it is a low launch, low spin shaft. It kind of has a firm handle or a very stiff handle, firm midsection, very stiff tip section. Overall, just a pretty stiff profile while still being pretty smooth. Comes in at 65 grams and 3.1 degrees of torque for the 6X. Rory plays his driver at 45 inches with a D4 swing weight. Now moving to fairway woods, and he plays 2 of them. The first one is going to be his 3-wood, which is the TaylorMade Qi10 3-wood. 15-degree head is what it's labeled as. Not sure what the actual measured loft is. It's probably something special for Rory. But this is the bonded hosel, standard version. TaylorMade makes a tour version that's made out of titanium, a little bit lower spinning. This one here, the Qi10, is a little bit higher launching, a little bit more spin to it. Really good look. I think what they did with that Infinity Carbon Crown on the Qi10 looks fantastic. Again, tested the Qi35s, went back to the 10. Again, I don't think it has anything to do with the Qi35 being worse. I think he just has this to be comfortable, and why take it out of the bag when you're going from players to then Masters, 2 huge tournaments. Why not play what you're comfortable with? So that's probably why he has it in the bag. This is shafted up with a Fujikura Ventus Black 8X, so kind of matching the driver. That very stiff handle, stiff midsection, very stiff tip. Again, very low launch and spin in that 80-gram range. Comes in at 85 grams and 2.8 degrees of torque. His next fairway wood there is going to be the TaylorMade Qi10 5-wood. Again, kind of matching 3-wood bonded hosel, a little higher launch, higher spin. With this one here, the printed loft on it is going to be 18 degrees. These Qi10s also tend to be a little bit more forgiving, which I know isn't probably the main factor in Rory's head when putting this in play. It's probably has to do just with the spin and launch windows and parameters that come with it. But it is a little bit more forgiving on those mishits. And this one here is shafted up with a Fujikura Ventus Black 9X. So the 90-gram range, very heavy, very stiff. And again, same profile as the 5-wood and driver. And this one, again, low launch, low spin, 95 grams and 3.1 degrees of torque. All right, so then we move into Rory's irons. And his irons are kind of an interesting combo set, kind of a little bit old, a little bit of new, kind of old, whatever. They're just, kind of Rory. And we start out with the 4-iron, and the 4-iron is a TaylorMade P760. Now, this was an iron that was released in 2018, and it was actually kind of a set that in the long irons, like 3 through 7 iron, had speed foam installed. They were hollow body, and then 8 through pitching wedge were just a true forged cavity back. When these came out, everybody hated the cosmetic. Nobody liked them. They just hated how ugly they were, but they were a really compact forged iron. Looked really good. The 4-iron there, like I said, has speed foam, a little bit thinner face to it. So it's got a little speed, got a little extra kind of oomph to it at the top end of the bag to probably fit his gapping. And it's forged from 1025 carbon steel. Really good look to it. kind of matched up with the P730 blades back in the day at that same time. Now, this is shafted up with a Project X 7.0. Yes, the 7.0, you don't see very many of those. You see a lot of 6.5s, was considered extra stiff. The 7.0 is kind of considered the Tour X, but extremely stiff, stout profile the whole way through, very stable. Now, Project X lists this shaft as low launch and low spin. I always thought this shaft, from all my experiences with it, kind of initially higher launching, but really flat apex, really flat, boring flight, very low spin shaft. Again, very stiff kind of feel to it, very stable, and it comes in at about 130 grams. Now we move into the rest of his irons, which is 5 through 9 iron, and he's playing the TaylorMade Rors Protos. So the Rors Protos were based off the P730 irons that they came out with, the blades. They were kind of a forged blade that had a little channel that was running right through the back. He plays 5 through 9 iron in these. And again, built off the 730s, his look to have like a slightly shorter blade length. So from heel to toe, look to be a little bit shorter, and it looks to have a slightly taller face height on them. When you look at the sole, there's no milled grind sole where they had the milling lines. These are just a flat chrome sole. So he must have something changed up there that he likes to kind of get the turf interaction that he needs for his swing, whether steeper, shallower, whatever he does. Now, these here are also shafted up with Project X 7.0. So again, very stiff, very stable, low spinning shaft, comes in at 130 grams on those. So moving to his wedges, and his wedges, he is playing the TaylorMade Milled Grind 4s, or MG4s as a lot of people call them. These here, basically evolution of the MG3. They've got the raw face, little different laser etching on the face. They call it spin tread. Has a really rough kind of sandpapery texture when you run your finger over them. They are raw, so the faces do rust. And the shape on them, a little more squared off than the MG3, the toe side. Very, very square and a little bit sharper than the MG3 was. Rory's playing, instead of a pitching wedge, he's playing the 4609 SB. So the 46 is going to be right around pitching wedge loft, the 9 degrees of bounce, and the SB is the standard sole. So kind of a fuller sole, a little bit of relief when you look at the back, the heel, and the toe. It's just kind of slightly massaged there. But this one here is going to be used pretty much for full shots and shots square to the target, where you're playing the face square to the target. So the sole is going to have really good turf interaction and reduce digging there. It's shafted with the Project X 6.5 shaft. Now, yes, a little bit softer than the 7.0, makes sense. Probably not hitting as many full hard shots with this club compared to, say, a 7-iron or 6-iron. And it does come in at 125 grams. So, yes, interesting that he goes slightly lighter in the wedges in these shafts. I know a lot of people kind of do the opposite and try to go slightly heavier and softer. He's going a little bit softer while being just a touch lighter, 5 grams. Then we move to his gap wedge, which is the one he hit on 18. Once into the bunker in regulation, and then knocked it stiff in the playoff. And that is a 50.09 SB. So 50 degrees aloft, 9 degrees of bounce, SB sole again. Now this one, like we just said, SB sole, a little bit wider, more traditional sole, meant for those fuller shots. He probably plays this one around the green maybe seldomly, so he can probably still manipulate it a little bit. But it's meant for those fully square shots. Like the pitching wedge, playing a Project X 6.5 shaft at 125 grams. Now for sand wedge, he is playing the MG4, but in 54.11 SB, so a little bit more bounce, 54-degree sand wedge. The SB, again, a little bit has that little bit of relief on the back, so he can open that face up just a little bit. Leading edge may come off the ground just a touch. Great out of the bunker, though, because that extra bounce is going to allow it to float. And I'm assuming, I've never played Augusta National, but I'm assuming that sand looks like it's fairly soft. And you need a little bit of float to get through there without getting too deep or hitting it too fat. This is shafted up with a Project X 6.5 as well. Again, 125 grams, fairly low spin, but a little bit softer than his iron shafts. Now, the lob wedge is going to be the 6008 LB, which is low bounce, so 8 degrees, low bounce, which is interesting because other companies use low bounce and they're in the 6s or 4s. This is an 8-degree low bounce 60. As you can see on the sole there, good amount of trailing edge, heel and toe relief, allows you to really open up the face and manipulate it. And that front leading edge looks like it's kind of a little bit pre-worn, so it keeps it down closer to the turf for those tight lies. You can make sure to get under the ball and make sure you're getting contact kind of center of the face. This one's shafted up with a Project X 6.5 wedge shaft. So they basically made a wedge version of this. So Project X realized that a lot of people played Project X shaft and wanted to match it up a little bit for their wedges, but they didn't want to go lighter weight. they just wanted a slightly softer shaft. So these wedge shafts they play a little softer to flex while still being the same weight as the flex. So in Rory's case, a 6.5 wedge shaft is going to play 125 grams, just like a Project X wedge shaft or Project X 6.5 shaft. It is just going to be a little bit softer in terms of flex. Now moving to his putter, and his putter is a TaylorMade Spider Tour X, very similar to ones you can buy right on the website. It is an X3, which is the slant neck, so it's got a short slant neck on it that gives the putter a little bit of toe hang. This kind of helps with the putter as it rotates through the swing. And if you have more arc, some people like to play that slant neck because it gives it a little bit more of like a blade-like feel as it kind of rotates open as you take it back and brings it back to square through your stroke. It's got a unique torched finish on it. So the finish you look at it kind of is brown, but it's got a few little blues, purples, this kind of hues in there. That's because they literally torch the head to heat it up to get it to change those colors. If you look on the top, there's no true path alignment. The big white line that runs down those spiders. His is void of that. It's just a single thin white line that is paint filled in on the top of that putter. The face has the, of course, TaylorMade Pure Roll insert. It's made from kind of a multi-material, but Surlyn, a little bit softer, has the horizontal, pure roll grooves that help get forward roll on the ball, less skipping, less hopping. And this is shafted up with a black KBS steel shaft, just like kind of the stock model is. It has the same shaft label and all that. And then Rory on this has a SuperStroke Zenergy Pistol Tour, which is the smallest of the pistol series. When you look in there, so it's kind of smaller, the diameter of it, a little bit closer to a traditional grip in terms of size and feel. And then we move to ball, and he just recently switched into the TaylorMade TP5. He was playing the X before. Now this is TaylorMade's TP5, so 5-layer ball. It's got a little bit higher spin, a little bit higher flight than the TP5X, and also has a little bit softer feel. I think Rory said when he switched that he switched because of a little bit of heightened spin, and he liked the fact that he could spin it a little more going into the grains. Now the grips on the rest of his clubs are Golf Pride MCCs. Now this is probably one of the most popular grips on tour. He's playing the white and black version. So the upper hand has kind of a firmer corded rubber that's black for some added traction and less twist in it, going to be a little bit more stable. And then the lower hand is that white, softer rubber that's going to be responsive and offer a little bit more feel. So that is Rory McIlroy's winning What's in the Bag from the 2025 Masters. Congratulations to him on an absolutely monster win. And thank you to him, Justin Rose, Ludwig, everybody for making this just a super exciting Masters. It was a whole lot of fun to watch. So thanks for watching, and check back next week when we jump into the next winner's What's in the Bag.